There we go.
How's it going, folks? Today we are doing Cannabis Pros and Marketing Masters. My name is Nigel Despinasse. I'm your host, and today we have the wonderful Rama Mayo with Hall of Flowers, Greenstreet, and more other projects than I can name. How's it going, Rama?
It's going amazing. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing well. I'm excited to have this conversation with you. We got to meet each other the other day, have a talk. You kind of gave a high level view of your career and kind of everything that you've been doing. And man, I mean, also the beard is so fitting for what we're doing.
Oh, that's true. It's a strap on.
Truly a beard, brother.
It's not real.
Yeah, it's Velcro.
Yeah, I just got it they sent it to me. They sent everyone, they said everyone a beard before they did the show. So
yeah, they gave me kind of a short one, but
we were just getting started, so makes sense.
So yeah, if you don't mind, could you give us like a rundown of kind of your give us a high level overview of who Rama Mayo is, and then we'll kind of dive into everything else.
Sure. I'd say I'm like an amateur sea glass collector, amateur fisherman, professional brander, marketer, I guess, helping artists and companies and brands kind of fulfill their dreams. I've been doing that really for a long time, for 30 years. I started a punk rock record label when I was in high school, and was booking a lot of punk rock shows back then. And I even did a festival when I was 16, I think, or 17, maybe. 3,000 kids at it. This is before the internet. This is before, anything digital, before cell phones. So, I was booking festivals with thousands of kids at it, and 3 days, 30 bands on a payphone from high school. And
this is before virality. This is before like yeah, exactly. So what are you doing to kind of spread the word?
You'd sneak into the printing class. You'd make a flyer that you copy and pasted, and literally like with tape on it and glue, and you'd steal photocopies of a flyer every day for months. 10 here, 50 there, just quickly get in and out. And then you'd go to shows on the weekends, and you'd hand them out to kids at other shows. Come a few months now, 3 weeks, next week, whatever. And then you would really like still what we do today. It's word of mouth. Cannabis is really, I think I'm such a good marketing person in cannabis is because you really can't buy many ads. It's changing quickly, it seems like, but for the past 13 years that I've been doing weed for 13 years now, like you couldn't really buy any great ads. You could buy some billboards and stuff like that, and some display or whatever, but nothing like really sexy, nothing really great. But word of mouth is the strongest marketing anyways, so I've been doing that forever, and learned a lot from there, and then did the punk rock record label for a long time, grew it into working with a ton of really kind of famous bands. And I did 75 records or something on one label. Then I managed a few others, managed some major label artists. And why I got so much into cannabis is the exact same feeling I got from like Chris from G-Pen, who was like my first, foray into cannabis professionally. Same feeling I got from that team, and, Task from Highly Educated, or Nameless Genetic, or whatever these people, Jeff from Nameless, or the same feeling I got from them was the same feeling I got from like these indie punk rock bands that started in basements and became gigantic. I did the early Jimmy Eat World records, and a band called At the Drive-In, and the first Hives record here in America. But those bands were sleeping on floors and, driving in a little teeny van, when I started with them, and playing basement shows. But the same feeling I got from them was the same feeling I got from the men and women and the entrepreneurs in cannabis. And I, had a hunch really like 12 years ago, whatever it was, like that trust would be priceless. That was kind of the idea. And if I could just, under promise and over deliver, and kind of help these brands carry their stuff through the mud, if you will, provide as much value as I could, because I'm still an outsider in the space, even though I've been in it for a long time now. It's like, if I could help with that, my hunch was like it was with the music, where I had opportunities to work with these big artists because they just wanted to kind of work with me, not just with like a label or whatever, so I'd win a lot of artists over even some major labels because they just wanted to kind of fuck with me, so that was
Yeah.
the idea, and it's worked, it's still going. I think we're still getting started, just in cannabis, but it's exciting.
It's like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like the power of spirit almost, where it's like a bunch of people with really strong dreams. Like the strength of somebody's dream can really win out over what people think reality is a lot of times.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think that's cannabis in a nutshell, right? You have a bunch of people who have been doing this underground, behind closed doors, seemingly not with like all of the resources that a normal business would have. Kind of similar in music. Like you don't go to a venture capital firm and say, hey, we want to produce a punk rock album. You know what I mean? You have
Wow.
to just grind through the mud and get it done.
Yeah, now you could maybe, but yeah, back then you couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the
Yeah.
problem back then. I didn't even know that you could get a loan or sell part of the company or raise money. I didn't even know that was an option back then. I couldn't play drums. So I just wanted to be part of the mix. And then my friend that was a singer of a band was like, we should do these shows. And it was like, he started booking these shows. And then you'd see in the punk rock world, you'd see like, a woman selling like zines, and then someone having like a little record distro, someone making like vegan cookies or whatever. And, the stage was a foot tall or something. And there was no barrier. There's no security guards, so it was really like, you'd get from off stage playing into the crowd for the next band. And, it wasn't like when I went to go see Aerosmith with my mom as a kid, where it was like, 5,000 rooms away. And, it was like really attainable. So that, and then I was skateboarding it the whole time too. And skateboarding is the same kind of DIY, ethos, right? Like you'd build a little
For
ramp
sure.
or a little thing or whatever, and that's really like where my whole life has been kind of based on that, for better or worse. You know what I mean? It's like my whole life is kind of based more in that small, like DIY kind of mentality,
These types of spaces tend to like very much lend itself to authenticity and relationships, like I haven't personally found any other industry that anyone I know works in that really lends itself to as much as it's about relationship building as cannabis. And I mean, that's anything. People want to buy from people. They don't want to like buy
That's right.
like specifically, you know what I mean?
Guys,
They don't care.
yeah. Yeah. They
And
want
that's
to work
what
with.
brand is.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's how it is. And so, I mean, to me, skateboarding was illegal. Now it's in the Olympics, right? So,
Right.
so like, I think cannabis, to me, there was a big similarity. And then you see like, look at surf, you know what I mean? Surf was really, the owners of the biggest companies were pro surfers, most of them, and so I
Right.
think that was a really niche thing. Punk rock kind of did the same thing, so yeah, I think cannabis is that's absolutely what it is. The we have a mentor I have a mentor named Shep Gordon. Do you know Shep? Who Shep is?
I don't know, Shep. No.
Supermensch. You should watch the documentary if anyone's watching this thing. Like
Oh, that's Supermensch?
Supermensch. Yeah. Have you seen it? Okay. Yeah. Got it.
I have seen it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So Shep Gordon's like he's like a friend. And, I've got to stay at the house in Hawaii, like in the movie and all that stuff. And it's unbelievable. Not a second of it is lost on me. And he said something to us, which, 10 years ago, basically, maybe at this point, 8 years ago, which was really profound, which was, Rama, if the right people don't step up and run the cannabis industry, the wrong people will. And I was just like, oh my God, it like literally hit me in the heart. And I was like, holy shit. So it really made me take this stuff much more seriously, because I love weed. You know what I mean? I got into this because I was smoking every day. I got it because I love it. My mom, grows weed still. She grows awesome weed, actually, in Massachusetts. She sold it forever. And, it's been part of my life for a long time. And, it's something that I'm really proud of. So I'm like here for the plant, as silly as it sounds, maybe, to some people, not to you guys, obviously, but, it's like, that's truly what it is. It's never been like a monetize this thing. It's been I probably made $2 an hour and starting with these companies, you know what I mean? Since I started these things, you know what I mean? But,
And that's how it works.
Yeah, it didn't matter. We were doing corporate stuff along the way. It was like, this is, we loved it. We'll work for weed, let's do it,
Yeah, exactly. Money chases, and that kind of go back to that. Money chases authenticity, right? So the people who are really in it with their kind of heart and intention first, I don't ever personally see money ever being a problem in the long run on those types of things, right? Because if
Yeah.
you're in something because you care about it, because you want the best for it, then special interests tend to come second whenever first place is led with the heart, more or less.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like a lifer in the space. You know what I mean? So this is why I've approached it. This, I mean, my partner obviously is Gary, right? Gary V. And
Yep.
like when we started did the deal with him 5 or 6 years ago, he was like, "What's the next 30 years look like?" You know what I mean? I was like, "What? What?" I'm looking at the next 5 or 10 years, maybe. But he's like, "No, like, this is like a very long term, decision for me to be in this thing." You know what I mean? So, it's
Absolutely.
been, that's been the approach, and it will come, and people come in and they smash and grab their money and get out, and whatever, and they're going to do that. It's just, I just, again, from the music world, I knew it was just about trust at the end, when I saw like I could sign these huge artists that, shouldn't even be on my label. Like, what are they doing with me, kind of thing. But they just wanted to work with me, like what you said, they work with us, not the brand, not the companies necessarily, So, that was
Mhm.
like, something that's been in my brain the whole entire time. And then it was like, if I can just help these brands, and then some of these brands and owners will become the giant leaders of the space, and they won't look back at me like 8 years ago, 10 years later, and say like, oh, that guy fucked me over or whatever. They'll be like, oh man, that guy really helped me out, and you know what I mean, like, never was crazy, and always, like, because I care about this stuff. I went to a party
For
last
sure.
night. I would see some of you guys there. I went to the Canna Management Group party down with Cannabis Talk 101, and those
Mhm.
guys. And it's just like, it's just so, I kept saying, like, we're talking to all these great people there, and I was like, I can't believe this, we get to call this work. You know what I mean? This is work right now, what we're doing, you and I. This is
It
crazy to me.
is. It's surreal.
It's awesome. You know what I mean? So
And it's one of those things where it's like it's going to, and it's been becoming an industry, and
yeah, it's a
there's two
community.
different ways to,
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Nigel. Always say it's a community evolving into an industry, right?
and that's
That's what it
exactly what I was going to say, more or less. It's and it's one of those things where the industrialization of this is that money following from those passions, right? That
is.
community is what is led by those passions. Those are the people who came together initially and said, let's make something that we care about from something that we care about. And
Yeah, yeah.
the there's a war being fought right now for better or for worse in terms of what direction cannabis is going to go. So like having people like you uh, in the space that are really championing the right things for the right reasons are, for better or worse, what Shep was saying, right? Where uh, you know someone's going to shape the industry, so it might as
Yeah,
well be people that really care about it, that want to be lifers, and not people who are in
yeah,
it for the smash
yeah,
and grabs and to try and continually rob a culture or rob a community. Um,
yeah,
so I love that. I think community first thinking is always going to be the most authentic and really what creates people who create kind of like a more circular economy, right? Like I'm always going to, doesn't matter the price, I'm always going to want to give money towards things that I feel like really resonate with my core being and the things that I care
sure.
about.
And the good news is that's what the world's all turning to. The whole younger generations, that's all they care about. Like way more than
Absolutely.
our parents did or whatever, right? So that's the good news. And there's going to be the divide. There'll be like my prediction, right? There'll be like the the Budweisers of the space, and then there'll be the crafts, and eventually Budweiser buys all the crafts or whatever, right? But like, you know, that's okay. Bill and Jeff deserve it, So, but I think there will be that bigger divide. You know what I mean? And I don't think there's going to be a loss of interest for like quality cannabis products. You know what I mean? I just think it will be so adopted that there'll be so many more people that are even doing it. Like the pond, as I have an old client that used to say like his goal was to like raise the pond, not suck from it. If he could raise the pond, then he could easily partake in it, but everyone else also got more. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
that's an
Make
interesting
the
thing.
pie grow.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We're just getting started. People are like, I talk to people all the time. They're like, "Oh, it's so late. I wish I got in." And I'm like, well, "What are you talking about? Like, it's so far away from it being realized." So
And the thing that I always tell people when it comes to those types of things, right, is like, if you really think that, like, think about the fact that we have, 30 something states that are legalized now, and a very, very small amount of the world has even gotten participated in this, even though there is a global cannabis culture. You know, there's there's history that spans with cannabis so far back that we can't even realize, and
For
to
sure.
think that we're late in the game is insane. I mean, we're in the first inning, you know what I mean? Like, it's
That's right. Yeah, we asked. When over COVID, I did this little thing called Magic Hour where I would do like, or I did my parties in real IRL at Greenstreet, and then when it stopped, I started doing like a internet version of it, right, with on Clubhouse, and
Mhm.
you know, Gary joined one of them, and it went crazy. Thousands of kids, people joined, and Brad from 710 texted me and said, "Yo, um, ask Gary what inning it's in. You know what I mean? What's he think? What inning is it in?" And Gary's response was, "We haven't even put our socks on yet. We're not even out there yet. You know what I mean? We haven't even showered. Like we're still,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? So, and that was a couple years ago, obviously, but yeah, it's exciting. Like the boom of COVID really inflated a lot of people's sales projections, kind of thing. People really thought,
Yeah.
oh my God, we're going to sell this much, forever or whatever. Then it cooled down, and people were kind of really stressed. But now I feel like the past 6 months, now every month, I just feel like there's like that uptick. It just feels like like the energy, and it's really what you said. Like they're just dreaming it into reality, maybe. You know what I mean? But like that's fine. But like the positive, again, back to punk, right? There's a band called the Bad Brains. They have a kind of a thing like called PMA, the positive mental attitude, right? I got that PMA. And since I was 17, 16, I've been like, I got that PMA every day of my life. So that's something where the industry has that or it doesn't. You know what I mean? But it's right now, it feels like people are like, you know, excited for the next, wave, that's going to come. So
And I think so too. It's been You go through kind of different waves as things go, as a business evolves, and I think a lot of people are more turning to a place where there's an understanding of growing the ponds, growing the pie, collaboration being an actual tool that works over a competitive nature where you're trying to slash your opponents out, as opposed to working with people across different aisles to get an understanding that, like, this is people are going to keep coming in. There's no shrinkage that's going to occur in this. The only shrink that might have occurred was, like you said, sales projections got really crazy in COVID. But when everyone's locked inside, what else are they going to do?
you can't drink wine every day at 10 a.m. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So mama has a gummy or whatever, Auntie June has a gummy.
exactly,
Right. Yeah. And then and they also,
exactly.
a lot of people didn't work. So there was no drug testing. So it's like, fuck it. You know what I mean? My back's been hurting. This is the crazy part. A lot of it's probably like my back's been hurting for 10 years at work. Every day I got to get home and ice it. Now I'm going to do this one thing, and like I could get fired for. And yet if I can have the first good night's sleep fucking in my decade, you know what I mean?
Forever.
That's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
because to me, cannabis is truly medicine. I didn't start smoking at all till I was 25. And my friend Liz Tempesta, she just hit level 50 in life. And she was
Nice.
like, you got to calm down. You got to smoke a joint, please smoke this. And for a year, she tried to convince me. One day I finally smoked a joint with her. Immediately, I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever done. What have I been doing? You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad I waited that long, to be honest or whatever. But it truly is medicine to me. You know what I mean? Like, why do we have this endocannabinoid system, whatever, in our body if you're not supposed to feed it? You know what I mean? It's like kind of crazy. And then, there's zero real research on it yet. You know what I mean? Like in the real world, you know what I mean? We're
For
seeing
sure.
research internally, white paper, whatever, this stuff, UCLA stuff is cool, but like, and Israel stuff, they're doing stuff, right? But like, really, there's not really much stuff we know. And then like no money's really come into the space yet. Yeah, a bunch of money's come in, but nothing real, nothing like on the real institutional side of this stuff. Like there's going to
For
be
sure.
a tsunami of money is going to come into this space. You know what I mean? And for better or for worse, you know what I mean? It's going to be like crazy. So if you're not really ready, that's my only probably concern, is that a lot of like the brands that I love, you know, um, maybe they're not even investable, right? Maybe they don't have good books, or they're, unorganized in the back end, or they have like, disputes or whatever it may be. So that would be the only thing
Mhm.
that will be bad, is if like, because it's coming. So if your ship is ready to catch the wave in, like you could sail it all the way up. But like a lot of people maybe aren't, and again, no fault to them probably. Like a lot of these people started as a passion. I didn't know how to run a business. I just wanted to do music stuff. And then 15 years
Right.
later, I was like doing stuff, even, with this here. Now I know more. So
Mhm.
now I'm approaching it in a, you know, I guess more thoughtful way, and a more long, view approach to it, but yeah,
But
like
it's how you
us.
move through it, right? Like, when you start off doing something just because you like it, like, I didn't, I didn't wanna work a normal job, for better or for worse, is, like, why I
Yeah.
ended up in cannabis. I love weed. I've been consuming
Yeah.
weed since I was a middle schooler. I just got to a place where I knew that I really like this. I like all the people that I've usually come across that like this, and I share a lot of commonalities with those people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know, I think, say it again?
No, we had a band that we put out a shirt of, and I designed the shirt, and it just said bond. It was in like French or something, so I didn't want to get, trouble and on tour. But it said bonding through drug use, and it was like three like, you know animals or something, like with a thing, But yeah, it's like it used to be like, oh, we wear the same cologne. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
I was on tour with the art stuff. So 2006, and we're on this art tour, and with Rockstar Games had put me on this road for 45 days with these three amazing artists, and I ran out of weed, and I was like panicking. You know what I mean? And they didn't get it. And I was the one that smoked weed, but I was like, I'm producing this whole tour dealing with all you maniacs. I need to be high the whole day. Like, this is not going
Of
to work.
course.
And this is like, I'll never forget it. We're walking down, we're in Washington, like Goonies style, like up on the amazing mountain bluffs. And we're walking down this like dirt path thing, like beautiful, like from a movie, leading to the ocean. And I'm like walking down, and it's just us. And I go, and I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, what? And
Whee!
I'm like a bloodhound at the airport. I'm like, I smell weed. I smell weed. And then these three kids come around the corner, and they're like, oh. And I'm like, oh, hey, excuse me. And they're like, oh, and and like, can I please hit that? Oh my God, can I please? Like, oh my God. And they're like, okay. And they just like give this stranger, I didn't have the beard at the point, so I wasn't this scary, maybe, this thing. And I'm just like, it's like a basic blunt, like a wrap, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
Snoop Dogg in whatever that movie was, where he's just like smokes the whole, pops about his side and smokes the whole joint and then disappears or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and they're like looking at me, and they're like, and I'm like, no, because this is gonna be the last weed I could have for weeks or whatever. I don't know. I'm on
Yeah.
tour, like a
They're
weird
gonna go
city.
home
So,
and get their weed. You this is all you
oh
got.
yeah, for sure. Like I should have, in hindsight, I should have just tried to buy some weed from these kids or whatever. But yeah, man, it was amazing. But yeah, it's truly that. Like you feel like it's like the way it was skateboarding growing up, or if you go to a small punk show, like you're friends with everybody there, kind of, because you're here for the same reason.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's like it's I'm trying to find the way to put it. It's like, the heads get it. That's all, like, I don't know how else to put it, but like the heads get it. You know what I mean?
As,
Like, the
as
you're
Mr. Green would say, the heads will know.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's exactly it, right? That there's something that can't be, it goes back to authenticity. I mean, same thing. It goes across, skateboarding, punk, BMX, whatever it is, these types of subcultures that really just thrive on authenticity and the love of the game, pretty much. And
All of
I
them. Every sport like that. Fucking bags and darts. And I have a Super 73. There's a whole weird
yeah,
community that like meets up about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not that good on it, but so I don't know if I'm going. But like it's fucking awesome. The thing is, like, this has always existed, but now the internet allows everyone to connect. What we're doing right now is
exactly.
crazy. There's like, you know, 30, I want to call them weirdos, but I'm in the boat with you guys. So like there's 30 other weirdos like us that are like into this stuff and want to do it. I love this. When Bill and Jeff launched this, I was like, emailed them right away, and I was like, or text them, whatever. I was like, dude, please put me in, coach. Like, let's like do this
Yes.
for me. I don't, whatever. But like, yes, like make as much as you can. Like, who's going to be the big media company in cannabis? We still don't even know yet.
Exactly. And that was kind of something that we glossed over the other day too, is that like you have all these big culture run media companies that have the opportunity to step in, but things get so big that people are hesitant to step into something that still seems like a maybe, even though everyone in our space knows that it's a reality of what it
It's
is.
still federally illegal, right? So up until a couple of weeks ago, people weren't sure maybe which way it would go. You know what I mean? Now I don't know. I know we wanted to talk about that stuff, the rescheduling. I don't. That's not my world at all. I'm like the most unpolitical human on the planet. I just ask experts that do it, and people like you guys, and I'm like, well, what do we want? And to me, a lot of people in our tight world are like very nervous about this thing. They're not excited about it. And then I'm sure I didn't look, but I'm sure the pub stocks went psycho. You know what I mean? At least for the day or whatever. You know what I mean? And then
Exactly.
so I don't know. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know any of that stuff. I've been so focused, like from the very beginning, for years, I should say, not the very, very beginning. We're just trying to figure it out. But now and for the past, half the company or whatever, it's been like my personal, like, mantra or whatever, is like just to protect the authenticity of cannabis. Okay. And I believe if I do that every step of the way, it will all come back to me later and I'll be fine. And that's what I did with the music stuff, and it's what I'm doing here. So it's like we have Greenstreet, we have Hall Flowers, these two amazing, things that are way bigger than I ever thought they'd be, and Greenstreet, we get offered to do an event with a company or a brand or individual and to come after the authenticity in the space. And I wouldn't let it happen. I couldn't. And in fact, my team that, I'm not an executor. I'm the idea guy.
Mhm.
I'm pontificating all day long. I'm whiteboarding, idea and execution. I used to think that ideas were everything and that's all that mattered.
Right.
And then execution, everyone can execute. It's like, and then I realized that execution is really the hard part, and ideas, there's a lot of ideas. And then it's like, but then it took me even years later to really admit it. Even saying it now, I'm like, not, so then I'm like, wow, like it really is execution. And the really perfect example of that is my partner, Danny in Hall of Flowers. He is like a Terminator robot. Like he executes more than anyone I've ever seen. It's like, I could never do it. I tapped out. It was like we for Ventura, I'm not sure if you came to the Ventura show, but obviously,
I did last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we just did this show in Ventura, and the fact that Danny got that to happen in Ventura is, earlier this year. The fact that Danny got that to happen blows my mind. Like he would be there at the town hall in Ventura from waking up to past midnight, not till 5 p.m. He was there. I left there. Chris from my team and I were there with him, where he was just like, we have to be there. We have to talk to everybody. I'll wait for 3 hours and then talk for 1 minute and then come back out and do it again. And it was just like the dedication and like the drive and determination of this guy is like nothing I've ever seen. So I could never do it, and when we started Hall of Flowers together, that's what it was. You know what I mean? It was like, I had the idea to do it and the relationships and stuff in the industry. And he's done huge trade shows, and our partner, Aaron Levant as well is, he owns Complex now, he acquired Complex, but he started Complex Con, that's our partner, Aaron.
Right.
But him and Danny did these trade shows together in Las Vegas that I would go to for a decade more, maybe. And I worked with them doing music. I would exhibit there. I would have clients that would get booths there. We did a ton of G-Pen stuff there.
Nice.
And when I came into cannabis and I was working with G-Pen, I was like, hey, what other trade shows are there? Like what, like the agenda, or like the fashion shows or whatever, like where do we go every year? You know what I mean? Like, cause that's my specialty, the experiential, the booths, like how to connect with an audience. Like that's like what I'd say is like, what's the show called? I forget. Branding people, awesome branders or whatever.
Cannabis Pros and Marketing Masters.
Marketing Masters. Yeah. So I would say like experiential would be like my specialty, right? You know, which you always call parties. Now you call it experiential, and it's because the toilet paper is,
Right.
and you charge way more. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's fine. It's good. But again, I've been doing events. I literally legit did a festival that had more attendees than Hall of Flowers when I was like 16. My mom dropped me off at the venue. I didn't have a car or license. She dropped me off there. And I, you know, like real, like legitimately. I had a
That's
partner.
crazy.
You know, I had an amazing partner in it, Kendra Eddy. Yeah, there's an Instagram on it now. It's called the festival called New Bedford Fest. It's the 30-year anniversary.
Classic.
And it's like
Massachusetts, man.
It's a famous event. Like there's thousands of people that follow this New Bedford Fest account, and it's like a legend. 30 years later, people are still talking about this thing. You know what I mean? Actually, hold on. I want to show you something real quick.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
You guys are getting a master class from this man right now.
Okay, so check this out. So this is insane. I bought this off the internet. It's like from England or something. I don't know. You can see it's like in pounds or whatever. And I just got this. Okay. And it is, I'll show you. John Evie, 2022. It's a fucking painting of Strife in the band. And look at the bottom.
No way. No way.
This is a painting.
How did you get this?
I saw it on the internet. And I emailed the guy and I said, I need to buy that painting. Like, what? This is fucking nuts, dude.
That's
this
incredible.
Is when I was in high school on a weekend, and I didn't think about it for 20 years, and now kids are making paintings of the festival 30 years later. Okay,
that's insane.
So, therefore, like the stuff we're doing is important. When we did the event with you guys at the Greenstreet space I had on the PCH,
yep,
I knew that. I just telling you guys this. I was like, 10 years from now, people are going to talk about this party. 20 people thought I was crazy. You watch it. 10 years from now, someone's going to go up to Bill and be like, dude, that party on the thing, because the internet's going to be around forever. This is before this is before the internet. This is before there was a video or photos of it.
And it's still around, much less the things that are memorialized on the internet.
Yeah. There was zero digital photos of this festival. The photos online were printed out from a camera and like scanned into a computer and then uploaded. It wasn't just like tag. It's fucking psycho. But I never knew this. I didn't expect this. I have no idea. You know what I mean? Right.
And that's the other end of it, though, right? Is that like you just wanted to create some dope shit that you would have liked to go to. You know what I mean? That's ultimately what this all ends up being, right? I want something that I want to go to that I know my tribe would want to attend. Essentially, it's not so much about making
that I want to smoke. Is really where right?
Exactly.
So that's it. You know, Shep also said something to me. He's like my Yoda. He said, you know, they're the celebrity chefs, the cultivators. He's like, that's all that's going to matter. He's like, you know, it's otherwise it's Chef Boyardee and Uncle Ben's or whatever. He's like, because he's the one that put the celebrity chefs' faces on, you know, all the packaging. He did the BAM Spice with Emerald. You know, if you remember BAM.
Yeah.
He's told me he still owns the BAM with him. You know, like he still gets checks from it. You know what I mean? So Shep did all that. So when I met him, I met Shep at with Aaron and from DNA Genetics and they had a whole crew going on, and they'd go to the events and we get to meet Shep and hang out, and he just like be so like mentoring to us and so nice. And when he was like, you know, these guys are the ones that matter, these men and women that are cultivating, they're the ones that matter. It's all going to start there. It's going to all end up there because they're going to want to know like where they're getting it from, not just the celebrity face on it, you know, necessarily. Like they'll become if they want to be, they'll become the celebrities. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. They're cultural tastemakers.
Yeah, well, they're making the actual product, you know. So, So anyway, I just had a lot of great, you know, for Greenstreet and Hall of Flowers. I had a lot of great perspective because we've done it. I also did a little fashion trade show for a couple of years as well myself that I ran, and it was super successful. But my partners just went crazy. One of my partners, Steve Aoki. Yeah, Steve Aoki, the DJ guy. I did all the Dimmock stuff with him early back, all the Dimmock clothing stuff. You know, when I got rid of my label, I started helping Steve, and then we started going to these trade shows, and I'd like book him to DJ, and we'd have like his clothing and my clothing and some other stuff there. And then I met a bunch of trade show people, and then Steve, myself, and a guy that was running a big Vegas trade show started a little like indie clothing trade show, and we did that for like 3 years. And it was New York and Vegas, 300 brands. It was like really successful, but it was just such a quick blip. And
Right.
that's really what got the trade show bug to me, going. And we so I just have a lot of cool perspective on like, because no one knows cannabis, right? No one knows what they're doing. It's never been done.
For sure.
Right? So like they're
There's no
pulling
there's
from
no like there's no model or framework that exists that
no,
like is proven to
no,
work.
no. It's not like the music industry or fashion or whatever energy drinks, and that's where everyone's coming from, right? It's like the
Mhm.
people from these other industries now that are coming on to like market and support and sales and distro and whatever, like the cultivators that have always been there. So it's like there's not even a lot of respect. I think the biggest companies haven't been started yet. I say it all the
I
time.
totally agree with that. I totally
Like,
agree.
there needs to be the respect, ultimate respect between like the true people in the trenches and the industry, the community people, like the beer bros guys kind of stuff, right? And then the
Mhm.
money needs to respect it back and forth. And it's really like you've seen some of it, but a lot of it's like, how hard can it be? My uncle grows tomatoes or my cousin grows flowers, and it's just like, wow, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? And then the cultivators are like, I got money in a shoebox under my bed or whatever. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly.
fuck you. So,
It's
yeah, so
one of those things where it's like a boom and bust almost though, right? Like things go up and down with how it's moving. Like you
of
find
course.
people in the early stages of it, people jumped in as a money opportunity because of a green rush or whatever it is, right?
Oh,
Where they're trying to pillage and rape something to get their dollars out of it and cash out quickly. Then you
yep.
have these long sullen moments where investment dries up and like again, many people leave the space and the only people that are really around are the people who are there for the love of the game and then vultures more or less trying to pick off carcasses. And now I feel like you have to hit enough of these boom bust cycles until you hit that stability point, and I think that's when people are going to start having money to be able to, like you said, have a like circular economy of respect type of situation. Because if I don't
Yeah.
respect everyone in my supply chain or who I'm doing business with, then like at some point someone's going to get screwed over. That's at least how it's always worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's how skateboarding was and still is. That's how like, the stuff that I've seen has been, right? So that I've been in those smaller niches that aren't more consistent. So like they have those things, right? So Virgil Abloh said something, that came to
Rest
mind
in
when you're
peace.
talking, rest in peace, and he said, life creates waves. You
Surf or
either surf
drown.
or drown. And when I heard that,
Yes,
I
and
was like, fuck, like, okay, like, you know what I mean? So that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like I call it The Walking Dead. Like legitimately, I say this to ask any of the people that like want I work with. They're like, okay, we get it. I'm like, it's like every day it's like The Walking Dead. How's cannabis? The Walking Dead. Every day when you kick the door open, bop, you're like, oh shit, it's like a different zombie and a thing. It's always whatever the plan was, it goes out the window. And then maybe you make it
totally.
back to base camp at the end of the day or whatever. You know what I mean? But like, there's no. So the people that are coming in that aren't used to that, the corporate people, that crushes them. They can't projections and stuff and numbers and sales and budgets and all, like they don't even doesn't exist in the space. Like they're like literally survival. Talk to most of the people, most of the operators. It's like I just want to get through the week. You know what I mean? 6 months from now, what do you mean? A year from now, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? So
And that's why you see things happening, right? Like I think, this is the New York is a good example because they've been trying to bust down their gray market or their black market. And most of these people are doing this just because they have to live. You know what I mean? Like there's no there's a lot of people who I think come from a space of judgment, and a lot of times it is like you're saying, these people who have come from like CPG spaces or these like kind of tried and true segments of a market that have steady growth and don't really understand why illegal business practices exist. But it's like if you're overregulated, overtaxed, and are trying to survive, like what else are you gonna do? I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let my family starve. I'm gonna go steal the piece of bread. That's just what it is.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. I brought in someone to help with Greenstreet, and he had come from a big alcohol company, and he was like a president of like a big company, and
Oh, Oh,
and he
that's
laughs,
fun.
and he
Ego? Ego or no ego?
ego, but brilliant man, brilliant,
Yeah.
like unbelievable. Like I mean, I wish we were more mature as an industry that we could have kept him. He was
Right.
there for like a couple weeks, basically. I don't know, a couple months maybe, and he was just like, he was like, man, like every meeting we have is like we like it's like there's no, it's like we have to have the same meeting 8 times, and then like this product changes. Like we try to negotiate a price, it changes 3 weeks later. Like we try to get the product, it's not even there available, and I'm just like, yeah, like there's not, it's not there yet. These, like it doesn't, no one,
And
it's
you're
crazy.
sitting there to put in the infrastructure though. That's the whole
Yeah,
point. Kind of like what you were saying earlier, right? Money will come and all of these things will find stability at some point, but like you're, coming from big alcohol, you're in a place where this industry has like established the foundation. It's built its base. It's a 12-story house, and we're still working on laying down the foundation for the
that's
cement,
right. That's exactly what it is. So I think that, but again, there's going to be brilliant people that come in from those other industries. You know what I mean? There's no doubt. You know what I mean? There has to
But
be.
it's like you're
Not even.
saying, it's not built yet. It's not made yet. The biggest companies in the space don't exist yet.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Which is
So
awesome.
in terms of, because I think the big focus of our call so far has been like the importance of community, and that's like the onus behind all branding is essentially just making sure that you come at it with a place of realness, authenticity, and understanding. How do you, because you've been an agency guy aside from
Yeah, yeah.
the trade show space, so like when it comes to services and providing professional services, what is what's the way that you do that? How do you transmute that into a bunch of companies that hire you on?
I was reading this quote, this thing someone just typed up, which is super distracting. I'm sorry, with The Walking Dead. She was like, I didn't get it, but now I get it. It's like, for sure. So what was the question again? I got the last part. Give me it again.
No,
Sorry.
you're all good.
Agency.
Coming from a place like where you do professional services, right? Because I think that exists in our space a lot, right? You have freelancers, you have boutique shops, you have people who are trying to market services. What is the way that you've come to kind of build, scale, and create these agencies as like stewards of authentic marketing and like being able to really deliver that value to people?
Well, I it's gonna be hard because I really hate clients. You know, so this is the issue. You know,
Right.
so that's why we stopped doing client work at Greenstreet. Basically, is after we brought Gary's team in, we hired some people and we went for it, if you will, agency stuff, and we did, made millions of dollars, but it was just
Mhm.
treading water. And
Right.
ultimately I wasn't happy or fulfilled. I was still running like a team and a business and helping everybody else, which is cool, but I need the creative outlet myself. So I went to Gary and I said, hey, I'm just not happy, doing the stuff. I'd rather focus on building more IP. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he's the IP god, right? So it's like, so he's been with us for Hall Flowers, and you know,
Right.
um, we have a couple other things going on, brands and stuff. And I was like, I'd rather focus on that, and that's what I'm excited. I didn't sign up for this to like be an ad agency. The idea was to like any ad agency on the planet, you start it and you build your own stuff from it. You know what I mean? And
For sure. It's
that's
a
like,
cash flow machine.
yeah, it's like that's any agency. That's what makes or breaks any ad agency on the planet. Everyone that's thinking, you make or break by your IP. It's like
Mhm.
you stop focusing on client work and you just build your own shit and it doesn't work, or you stop focusing on client work and you build Hall Flowers and it's like worth it.
Right.
And you go over. And that was so first of all, I hate clients, right? Then
Yeah.
because they hire us because we're experts and they never listen. You
Preach.
know, the last one I did, I'm obsessed with brand. You have no idea. Like, you don't have any idea. I'm obsessed with brand, like more than 99% of the planet, I'd say. Maybe zero point 0.9 even think. And there's in branding, right? And in brand, there's a thing called brand archetype. Okay. And there's like, if you Google it, there's a wheel that comes up that like Diageo and Procter and Gamble and all these terrible companies made like for, to craft, not these guys, whatever, to come
I
after
know
you.
what you mean.
They
Yeah.
really break down the consumers into like these, like, handful of like archetypes.
Mhm.
Um, so we have a brand, a last client project we did, and we've it's kind of science. It's not just us coming up like picking whatever. And that's even boiling down to colors and naming strategy and font types, you know, like it really is like a science of like what your eye sees and how you
For
look at
sure.
a, right? You know what I mean? It's like not just like my cousin said it should be blue, you know. And
Right.
the last project we did, these are clients that are paying a Prius a month, like it's tens of thousands of dollars a month, you know. And
Right.
we delivered this project. It's been months working on it, and the CFO, who for some reason is reviewing the stuff, which I don't understand why that would be, he's like, I showed the work to my daughter. She's in college at design school, and they have some comments for you. And I was like, no, they don't.
I was
They
about
don't
to
have.
say, you're
They
not
don't have.
paying me to take comments from your
Yeah,
daughter. That's just
yeah.
not what it
And no
is.
offense, maybe the comments were fucking right. I don't know, but I was just
Yeah.
like, listen, I don't. And I would just, that was it. I was just like, I'm done with this. Like, so you know, I'm really just focusing on Hall Flowers, and then Greenstreet in general is like, you know, our 420 event that we do. It's been a physical space forever and ever and ever. But real
Mhm.
quick, you know, people know Greenstreet as the building in downtown. You know, that was like my spruce goose, if you will. Like we got it off the ground
Right.
for a little bit, and then you know we couldn't keep it in the air by the time 5 years to build it or whatever. You know,
Right.
started before COVID. Everything changed. No one wants offices anymore. I'm building a giant office building. Right. That's basically right. So before COVID, genius. After COVID, you know, still
Not so
awesome. Yeah,
genius.
but they'll talk about Greenstreet for the building forever. They'll talk about that
Damn
building for
right.
20 years, cannabis, you know. But front page of the Boston Globe to 1990, like, oh, maybe right when I moved here. So fucking, I don't know, 2004 or something, maybe ish. Front page of the Boston Globe. It's exactly the same concept that I did, but for music. So in Boston, I had a whole building called Intersect, and it was Jen Malone, who's the number one music supervisor like on the planet right now. It's Matt
Right.
Galley, who's the number one like booking agent in the planet right now. It's Matt Pike, who's like a fucking monster booking agent. It's Chris Wren, who runs like a huge clothing thing and Bridge 9 Records and has a store and retail, and like it's and a bunch of other people I'm not even naming that are all insanely successful. But in
Mhm.
Boston, I took all the music people, I brought them all into a space, just like you buy a big bag of weed and you kind of sell some to your friends. Like, you know,
Yep.
I get these big spaces and we bring everybody in. So when I did that in Boston, it was hugely successful. So the idea for Greenstreet, this building, everyone's in it, and blah, blah, blah. I've been doing that since I was 20 years old. You know what I mean? So like, right? You know, so it's exactly the same idea. So even the Greenstreet building didn't come out of nowhere. That came and Hall of Flowers came because I did the trade shows. But just now I'm like, we're adapting it to cannabis, but I've been in cannabis, you know, enough to like want to protect everybody. And I just bring these experts in to like execute. I'm not executing anything of this stuff. I'm idea guy. Like typing real
Right.
stuff and like, spreadsheets. Oh, it's my nightmare. I've never had a job. I never had
Preach.
a resume. I've never had a resume. I made some resumes because I was like, I'm gonna work at Coca-Cola and have and not go to work or whatever, like 20 years ago, whatever. But I've never like
Right.
done that. You know, I worked like in high school, I was an engineer. I went to full scholarship for engineering, but I was doing the record label at the same time. And I thought I was gonna be an engineer and work at NASA or something. And then I started doing this punk thing. And then I had calculus classes at 8 a.m. and concerts at awesome. And I'm like, one of these sucks, you know what I mean? And I was riding my
Yeah,
skate,
exactly.
you know, so I dropped out of Northeastern for a scholarship for engineering, and I switched to music there. And I just like fucked around for years, built this label, and I was like out in the stratosphere somewhere. I didn't know what to do. And then I started essentially a fashion trade show with Steve and this guy Ryan Walker. Ryan went
Yep.
on to be a man of Imagine Dragons, and Steve became Steve. So it's just different planets.
Yeah.
And then I was lost again, and my friend was like, "Come to San Francisco, and we'll do an agency." So I did that, and that's what got me into the agency world. And then I had a bunch of big clients: Beats by Dre, Disney DreamWorks, with my mentor Darren Romanelli, and we signed G Pen there. And then I was like, weed stuff and marketing. I couldn't be more excited about it. It's like my two things I love, you know?
Wow. And it's one of those things, man, where like I feel like you come to those inflection points in life, right? Where you have calculus at 8 a.m. and punk shows at 9 p.m. And like, it
It's
really
crazy.
is one of those things where it tests your metal to say like, where do I go? What do I do? Like, what do I
It was a
follow?
very short test. It was like 2 days. I went like twice, and I was like, I'm never going back. It was crazy because
Well,
also the
God
people
bless, man.
were not my people. Like I'd be in the room and I'd be like, there's not even like one person that like I feel like I want to talk to between classes or whatever, you know? And
Right.
but again, also very fortunate. My mom says like I'm like water. I'll just like always find a way kind of thing. You know what I mean? Through. So
One of
you
my
know,
favorite Bruce Lee quotes.
yeah, God, I didn't even put it together. My mom's a giant Bruce Lee fan. Just kidding. But yeah, anyway, I know I just babble all the time about shit. So I don't know if
No,
I actually
man.
questions or whatever. But
Dude, if you want to do this anytime, not on Beard Bros, not on Beard Bros channel, I'm down to. I'm always down to
this
talk.
is all I do.
This
This is all I
this
do.
is great.
You guys know I'm a demon dialer. People probably call me a punisher. I'm just like, like like input, like Johnny Five, Short Circuit movie, like 90s or 80s or whatever. When the robot gets hit by lightning or something, he turns into a human, but he's a robot, like first AI, if you ever seen it, and he
I
just
haven't
talks
seen
about
it.
input. It's Johnny Five. I literally like am
Oh, look,
Johnny
I'm
Five.
writing it down.
It's like a stupid 80s movie. And but it's so ridiculous. It's gonna but the and there's like multiple things of it because it was a huge hit. But the robot just wants to consume data. He's just like, input, and he just like reads the books and wants to know about life and why is the painting this and why do you cry? And so when I get anything, I'm just like super inquisitive. Like I want to know everything about when I have like the original. So we did this originals logo and packaging and stuff with Greenstreet. Amazing
Right.
client. Talking about, there's bad clients and
Originals
there's
are
people
cool people.
who
Yeah.
were like, these guys did amazing stuff. Like and they've done a great job with the brand, like, that we've done. This is going to live for a long time.
Yep.
And we made this logo, you know what I mean? And so, but when I'm seeing this, I'm like looking at the thing and I'm looking at the emboss and then I'm like, oh, the thing's a little thing. And how is the metal and what's the kerning? Like literally I'm like, oh, with the moisture. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it's a psycho thing. It's not good. You know what I mean? I had
No, it's
workaholic.
great.
Well, it's good. It's good. But the balance for me is hard. Right.
I get that.
So like I had workaholic in my bio in Instagram for years. And then one day I was like, I'm a fucking idiot. What am I doing? Like, this is not
I shouldn't be proud of this.
I should not be proud of this. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I had to physically move. I moved up to Ventura to the beach, basically, because I was living in LA 20 years. I had to physically move myself because I just could not stop doing that. And I was just like, no, personal life really. Like, I don't have a wife or a girlfriend. I have no kids. I'm like eating much better, but I was just like a piece of shit eating like crappy food and whatever, you know what I mean? Like, awesome food. I mean, I eat, but just like,
Nah, not good for you.
I'm not eating like fast food, but I'm like a decadent eater, but I'm just going out to eat at like all these awesome restaurants every day, every night, ordering crazy stuff, and I don't, I'm like super healthy. I walk 5 miles every day or whatever. And I do the sauna and I do all this stuff, but I was just gluttonous, and, but it was because I worked so fucking hard. I was like running all day. Oh my God, work for every second. And then my only kind of reward to survive the day was like bolognese. I'm going to make crazy bolognese sauce. You know what I mean? Like I went to the doctor. They're like, don't eat bolognese every day, then go to bed. You know what I mean? That's it. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, okay. Well, okay. I get it.
I live somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. I got to move to Italy or whatever. You know what I mean? But so anyway, but I had to like physically like even separate myself from it. So yes, I go into it, and that's why I'm so good at it, right? Honestly, like obviously, right? But I need the balance. I need like a real life beyond just the work stuff. My mom said, your job is never gonna love you back. And
it's a sad reality of it, man.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck, like, okay, so that's my hardest thing was like the balance of it. Anyone that knows me is like, for sure, like he's a psycho. He just wants to work every day. Dude, I have a whiteboard in my living room. It's not good.
I was about to say, so what is the what are you balancing with, right? Are you going out to surf since you live next to the beach? Sea glass. That's what you did say. Sea glass.
My amateur sea glass collector. That's all I care about. I don't know how to monetize it. I got an incredible collection right now. I'm fully invading these women's turf up here on the beach. I was rolled up on by 2 older women, came up to me. It's only retirees where I live or surfers. That's it. Either dudes with no shirts and boards, and girls with like boards under their arms, or just
Boards.
people in golf carts. I'm the only one that doesn't do either one of those things. And
yeah.
but I'm at the beach every morning, sea glass meditation, morning kind of style, like walking on the beach. It's fucking unbelievable. I'm so fortunate, right? Like I can't believe it. So now I'm like going down, and there was like a really good spot, and I'm like pop, picking up all this, gold here. And these 2 women roll over on me, like literally like 60, 70-year-old women roll up to me, and they're like, "We see you bending down a lot over here." And I was like, "Oh yeah, hey," and they're like, "What do you got?" And I did the thing where you pull your pocket out, but you kind of hold your pocket still, and they go, "Oh," they literally go tax, and she goes to, then she goes, "Ah ha ha," but she's like going to like grab my sea glass, because I'm in her turf.
way.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
You actually got rolled up on.
I got rolled up on. And then and they were joking. They were like, "Ha ha ha," whatever, but now I see them, and
a lot of truth is said in jest, though.
Yeah. Oh, well, for sure. I should have. I got the queen. You got to take care of the queen bee, And so then it was like now they see me, and I'm like down in the thing, and they're like, because I'm like in there in the water, even. I'm like, I walk with. I'm just like, it's fucking unbelievable. And they're like kind of up, and they're like, "Is there anything good down there?" And I'm like, "Not anymore." You know what I mean? Like totally chirping them back. So I'm building the comp.
Yeah, you're building rapport with them.
Building rapport. Don't know their names yet, but we'll get to that next year.
That's wild. That is actually hilarious. Yeah. But I'm glad, man, because that's like I don't know. Those things are like a necessity, because, like you said, work won't love you back, which is something that I like.
Yeah,
I try to put into my head.
I also lived in a van on the road with bands for 6 months of the year for 10 years. So I went to all the states and countries and Europe. Unbelievable, like unbelievable. I was paid to travel the fucking world. It was insane. But I slept like in a sleeping bag, like touching other for like 10 years, 6 months. So I don't need a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just like, whatever. But every morning I have this little crappy shack here that I have up on the beach. But when I walk out this morning, even every day I open the door, I'm like, whew, I just get hit with like the oceany breeze when you go on vacation, like as a kid. And, it's like, oh, that means you're like on vacation. Dude, every day it happens. I did it this morning, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. Like, this is nuts. It was crazy. I can't believe I lived in LA.
It's its own high. Because I'm from Louisiana, right? So like I never, like I went, it was always like a trip to go out to beaches or anything that wasn't, extremely hot and humid areas.
Yeah,
and that sand is like, or that smell of like sea breeze and sand is it's like intoxicating, man. I don't know. I like had this dream of moving to California since I was a 9-year-old.
Yeah. I'm going to Google this now because of what you said, and I'm going to deep dive on that smell now. Like that's how crazy this is going to get. I'm going to full on go like, what's going on and who coined the term, whatever. So anyway, but yeah, it's a real thing. So I'm just so that's, you said, how do you balance it? And that's what I did. I had to physically move myself out of it. Cause even in LA, Saturday, Sunday off, most people, I would like, I'm going to take the day off and do nothing. But then I go out and I'm like around people and stuff. And there's like a dude wearing a Stizzy hat or whatever. And I'm like, oh fuck. Like I'm just like still work. So Steezy, whatever the hell.
You have to take all the stimulus that reminds you of things that you do out of your environment in its totality.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So, and it was just impossible to do that in LA and, whatever, but, I love it, obviously, as you can tell. Sure. But,
yeah, it's great or whatever. There's a beach.
It's so cool.
Nice.
I just can't believe, I can't believe I get to call this work,
Yeah. This is your life. It's, I mean,
again, it was
the
like
best case to be in.
Yeah, but it was $2 an hour for like the first 10 years, just to,
exactly. And I think that's the part, especially like my generation misses out on.
Yeah, for sure. But we were fortunate. We were like the ones that grew up before and after internet, so we kind of got the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? Like it's like there's like I forget the term for it. There's a special term for like us that just did that few years, not even the millennial and all that kind of stuff, but there's like another little term for it. I forget what it is, but it's like because we just, again, dude, when we would go on tour, we legit had a paper map and you'd have to be like X6X and do this, and there'd be a cross, and then you'd flip to another page and you'd find a blow up of a city with the streets, and you'd have to literally be like, okay, where's the road? And the thing, it took like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We drove with a dude. And then when the internet came out, you had MapQuest or whatever, so you'd print out, but you still just print out.
And it would be step by step by step by step on what you have to do.
It was a Bible. It was a huge thing, like phone book, which you don't even have the phone book anymore. It was a whole encyclopedia for each tour of how to get to the show. And then if you go stay at some kid's house the other night, 4 towns away, how do you even get there? It's fucking nuts. So
yeah, you got to map it out.
It's like I was born in the late 1900s. You know what I'm saying? You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, it was I think I didn't catch the map years. I caught MapQuest. That was I caught MapQuest, and then it started being a thing where now I am functionally inept when it comes to locations when I'm in a new place unless I have my phone with me. And if I don't, then God willing, I'm going to be traveling around.
That got lost getting home from work to his house that he did for 5 years because he doesn't know how to get home from work. And he's done it because for 5 years he goes, I'm lost. I don't know how to get home. I didn't know how to get home.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Like I couldn't figure it out.
Anyway. And like and the thing is, like, I always think about this, and I know we're running over time, but like I said, I can do this with you for another 2 hours. But we've outsourced these parts of our brains, right? It's crazy. You go ahead and what we used to have these like pathways where we're like, oh, I'm here, so I'm gonna go this way, or this way. Now it's like I've done the same route for 5 years and I can't map my way through.
Now, at the same time, my fantasy is I just press a button and my robot driver pulls up and just like picks me up and puts me in the car and drives me wherever I want. You know what I mean? That's the fantasy. So I'll take that stuff. But like, I think.
But what will you do then? What will you do then? Right? Are you going to work during that time? Right?
Joints. I'll smoke joints in the car, and like, what I mean? And like you'll be able to do it because you're not driving, and the robot can't get high or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's fine.
There's no DUI for a robot.
Yeah, and I'll sit in the back seat and like just talk on the phone. That's what I do now. Like Lyft. I haven't even really. I put a photo of a car on the internet today that was like beach goals because I saw this buggy because I want to get like some dumb like nonsensible will break down for sure little car for the beach up here because everyone has these like cool little cars and tricked out golf carts and stuff. So I want like a Volkswagen thing, if you know what that means, or like you probably don't know what that means, but some weird old breakdown car thing that costs too much and I'll never be able to fix it. But like, so I've been looking at that kind of stuff recently. But yeah, I'm not like, I'm very excited for technology to replace a bunch of the shit that I don't like. But some of the stuff, absolutely, I think it's the tactile stuff and the experience of like running this business and running businesses. I think the generation underneath me and us, they have everything at the tip of their fingers. They're going to be smarter, I think, for sure. But just the experience is something that that I have. That's my one advantage. I've just done so much stuff. And, I always say like thinking comes later, right? Like I have friends that overthink everything, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh my God, like I can't even do and like, I'll be like, start a company, make a website, do a stuff on a weekend just for fun. And it didn't really lead anywhere, but it was a cool exercise. And then I'll like pull from it later on, for other projects, it
all becomes parts of your whole, like vision board that you can pull from for later projects or things that you're working on. I'm not joking. Like I was with someone the other day freaking out on Canva and AI because you can do them both together. And like now in Canva, when I'm making a deck, instead of looking for a reference photo, I can just type what I want and AI will make a reference photo for me in seconds. Like my dream photo, it just is there, right? It's fucking psycho. So it is crazy.
I was like, my friend was showing me, oh my God, you got to do this. And, blah, blah, he's super smart. And we made a deck for a company that is just a fake company, but we made like a full on thing. We spent hours making but
that's what makes it different. That's what truly like makes as a strategist and as an individual who's obsessed with brand, like you said, more than 99.9%, you're going to have grand majority of people anywhere are going to be like, I didn't get anything out of making a fake deck. And it's like, well, that wasn't the point. The point was to have fun and make something.
Dude, I'm not even joking. We had a friend and we were talking about we want to eat Thanksgiving every day of the year or be able to. And we said, let's start a restaurant called Thanksgiving the Restaurant. I bought a URL. I think I still own it. I'm not joking. And I don't have any plans to do it, but I own Thanksgiving the Restaurant. And we made a deck with no real plans of making a restaurant. But I bought the website just to have it as part of the $12 or whatever. Just
I love that.
do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but it
So
was
it's like, why not?
yeah. And now
You don't
someone
have
in
to
like,
have the intention of making Thanksgiving the restaurant, but it's a fun idea.
But now that I put it out into the zeitgeist, it's gonna happen. 3 years from now, you're gonna see fucking Wolfgang Puck or some, Japanese Japan.
Thanksgiving.
I will curate Thanksgiving the Restaurant. You can't do weed stuff there yet? Bring me there. We'll do Thanksgiving the Restaurant in Japan, and then we'll do weed stuff in a couple of years. We'll just prime it. You know what I mean?
Damn right. Yeah, set the stage.
Yeah.
Rama, man,
right,
this has been like.
Oh yeah, I feel like.
No, you go ahead, brother. You go ahead.
No. Do you have to like ask me any questions, or do I need to do anything or anything? Or
no, man. I mean, okay. Tell people where they can contact you or find you.
I don't know. You'll link it here or something, maybe, right? Rama Mayo.
Yeah, that'll happen.
My Instagram is my full name. My first name's Rama. My middle names are Thomas and David, so it's Rama Thomas David Mayo is my full name, and yeah, and then Hall of Flowers for sure. I mean, Santa Rosa's coming up. Hall of Flowers, it's going to be fucking nuts. It's 3 months out basically from right now, and we put tickets on sale yesterday.
Nice.
We're opening up. Okay. We're opening up to the consumer for the first time ever there. So day one will be exactly the same way day one at Hall of Flowers has always been. It will be B2B, stores and brands only. And then the second day we've kind of opened it up to like the industry, if you will, with like a really expensive ticket. The tickets on sale now are $30, and there's we have discount codes and stuff and all that stuff we're doing with a bunch of different awesome people. And and we really are going to just try to evolve the show to give people best of both worlds, right? So now you're going to be able to sell to buyers and do all your B2B in day one, which was majority of the stuff was happening. 60, 70, 80% people said they were doing it day one anyways, 70 or 80, I think it was. But then now let's see what happens if we can get 5,000 kids to come or more even, and that's our goal is that, but we could fit a lot more there, of course, at the fairgrounds. And
I love that place. Let me just say that, like, I did my first Hall of Flowers Santa Rosa last year. And man, it was a great time. I loved it. It was fantastic. The parade were awesome. The people were great. Like, it was all around good vibes.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best event in cannabis, so like, and we just take it really seriously, and Danny, like I said, is just the most unbelievable executor of these projects. And, I'm like the sizzle, he's the steak kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
And, which I'm fine with, and, we're just trying to essentially give these people a platform and these entrepreneurs and brands a platform where like weed can be the headliner. That's why we don't even have like a big music act or something. It's because we want people there to come there and just buy weed. That's the goal. Right. So we're only really trying to go after like the attendees are like people that like buy a lot of weed, you know what I mean? And people that care about these brands, we're not really going after like the general mainstream people, and we didn't do any big talent because we don't want you to come. We don't want 5,000 kids to come and watch a band play and some of them buy some stuff. We want them just to come for like weed's the headliner at this thing, so we want them to come for the weed, and come buy it. So, and then we have like a couple unbelievable clothing brands that have joined with us. So, it's a brand called Market that's with us. That's
I know Market. Yeah, formerly Chinatown Market.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're going to be there. Rip and Dip's going to be there.
Nice.
Talking Terps is there. We have Carrots as well, which is an amazing brand. And then there's a couple more maybe. And oh, you really?
Carrots.
Go boom, Carrots. Fuck yeah. Well, there you go. So exactly. So how that is there. So they're doing a cool little collection with us, like a Hall of Flowers inspired thing, even exclusive, which I'm
very
not
cool.
sure said that, but they are. And maybe they're not, but they sent us stuff. It looks sick. So that's exciting too, right? We're like kind of bridging the worlds of the mainstream stuff. Cause again, like these big companies are going to try to come into the space. They're already like around, right? So if they can come in on our turf and we can kind of help, we have like, a video game company that I think is coming in and like stuff like that, but like it makes so much sense. You know what I mean? So like, let's
For
us
sure.
do that and let's us make it
Well, you're
awesome.
curating it, right? You're picking and choosing what
Absolutely.
fits best with our culture.
Oh
And
my
like
God.
that, being that culture broker is like
Yeah.
such a fantastic place to be.
That's why the show is so successful, because Danny was so specific on like the booth height, and like we build everything for most of the brands, like all the shelving systems we own and all the stuff, like we spent millions of dollars on like furniture and stuff, and
Right.
because we want a super consistent thing where it's built, and Danny does this because he has all this experience. It's built for the buyers to come there, right? The brands, yes, they need to show themselves off, but it's really not built for brands. It's built for buyers to shop, the best way, right? And that's like again, more back to science. Like there's ways that we like to shop. So that's been
Where the eye
Danny's thing.
leads you.
Yeah. So like even like the flow of the show, he talks about all the time, and the the circulation, and and like no dead spaces, and like this thing, it's like really like a
Feng shui.
art and science kind of mixed together, right? Thing for sure, feng shui. So that we take it so seriously. Like we turn down hundreds of companies. These other shows like Vegas or whatever, like if your check gets in, you're in the show.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not joking. Hundreds of companies. Like there's just the weird, whatever, like the stuff you'd see. Not that it's bad that MJ BizCon does it. They're so big they have to do it. But some of those brands obviously want to also be at Hall Flowers, and Danny will be like, no, it doesn't make, it's phenomenal. So we're so curated, So that's what a huge.
It makes a world of a difference.
Absolutely.
It does. It makes a world of a difference, man. I mean, it's selectivity is like what kind of breeds that image of what Hall of Flowers is, which is, a culture driven trade show, a trade show driven by people who care about everything that has to do with our industry.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, we respect. When we built it for these brands. That's also, it's a level playing field. You can't. Sometimes you can kind of come in and splash the pot a little bit, right? But it's like for the most part, like, there's like Wild is next to the small little teeny brand that's their first show in the same type of booth or whatever. You know what I mean? There's no so it's like you really like it's the and again, retailers, as we know, or in Canada, California specifically, are it's hard. Right. Retail in the world is hard, of any business. Right. But cannabis is harder than it's been in a while. Right. So it's like, the dispensaries, they need fucking people that are going to hustle and try to push people into shops. You know what I mean? They're going to support the brand. You know what I mean? So Hall of Flowers, like, we saw a brand, maybe I shouldn't say him, but it's like, it's going to make me cry. Like I saw them in the lobby, in the elevator at Hall of Flowers in Ventura after the show. And they were loading like the bellhop thing in or whatever with all their bags on it, the holy cart thing. And it was like a husband and wife, I think. And they rolled their stuff in and we were going down the elevator together. And this is like after the second day. So I'm like, oh my God, did it work? You know what I mean? Will you come back again? And that's all I care about. Will you come back again? And, I was like, should I say anything? What if it wasn't a good show for them? Oh no, what do I do? And I go, you guys do the show? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, okay, that was positive. And I go, how was it? And they go, changed our lives. And I was just like, what do you mean? They're like, we opened 45 new shops. We weren't sure. It was an investment. We weren't sure if it was going to make it. And wow, it was the best event we've maybe not ever made, but we've made in a long time. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I was like, this is it. This is why we do it. You know what I mean? Because if you're really out there, and of course brands aren't going to perform, because that's how it goes sometimes, but maybe they're not good at, when I've had a couple complaints, obviously, right? And I'll be like, did you have, business cards? Well, no. Did you have like an order form or like a line sheet? No. Did you have samples? Well, no. It's like, well, did you have sales reps?
What did you expect to get out of this?
Yeah, we hired some local people and they were there and they'd had shirts on like at the booth. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So now the thing is, I realize this stuff, right? So I try to help all the brands, but my partner and those kind of, we can't help every single brand what they're going to do in their booth. It's hundreds of companies. You know what I mean? So obviously, like, we build the best show we possibly can, but the brands are the ones that kind of complete it. You know what I mean? They're, right? So, and we bring all
Absolutely.
the buyers there. We have 1,000+ buyers at the show. It's like 80 was, I don't forget the percentage. Don't quote me, but it was like 80 plus over 80% of the buyers, or maybe 86 or 82 or something. It was, everyone's there, so.
And it's beyond just buyers, right? It's like people who are looking to bring brands across state lines into other
We're seeing a lot more
places
of
to
that.
expand
Yeah.
businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy, man. It's like it
Yeah.
really is a place where, and I mean, that interaction alone, I think is confirmation enough in your mission, right? Like, to have someone literally tell you that the show that you curated and put together changed their life is like more than you could ever ask of anything.
Because even, I mean, people know it's hard. Even winning a couple accounts is a big deal. Leaving a thing with 45 shops, and again, they had fire weed, so it's like, you're not going to go in there with some weird product and trick people or whatever. Right? But like, I think that, like, you just can't be like sitting in the booth and eating and on the phone. And, you got people, retailers don't want that. Retailers want you
Not at all.
like being like jumping over, like, come in, check out my shit. I'll fucking help you sell shit, Beer Bro style. You guys are, selling retail stuff now. It's like, they need, all the help they can get, so
For sure.
And then where else, as a brand owner or CEO or C-suite or whatever, sales directors, where else are you going to see hundreds of buyers in 2 days? Like, no place on the planet.
You won't.
You know what I mean?
I was about to say, you just won't.
Yeah. And like, Danny always says, like, if a brand's like, oh, I'm in all the shops, I'm in as many shops as I need. And it's like, well, then you should come talk to them all. Like, even better, you should have a 5-minute window that you have someone book for you and be like, hey, shop decision maker, this is our CEO. You've been selling our stuff for a year or 2 or 3. You've never met before. Do you know what I mean? Like, perfect. Next. You know what I mean? Like, and then you
can't have a bigger than your britches mindset in these types of things, because these are the people who feed you.
Yeah, not here. Exactly. And then think of, like, I'm not, this is not a guarantee, right? But like, then you have a relationship and it's all about the relationships, right? And then it's like, oh, they were caught. That CEO, she was awesome. I'm going to fucking get more. We're going to support more of that. You know what I mean? We want to do stuff. And then it's like, oh, well, I've been wanting to pitch you this idea of doing this cool new thing at the shop, or vice versa. We're launching this product. We want to launch it in like some key doors or whatever. Like, that's what happens there. But you can see it's hundreds of people at one time. How do you not come to Hall Flowers? What are you doing? Exactly. You're doing that good? You're doing that good?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You're not coming to Hall
Flowers?
No
one's doing that good.
It's like being like, I love football and I am in the NFL and Super Bowl is 30 minutes away and I have a free ticket and I'm not going to it. Like, what are you doing?
No, thanks.
You're what's happening here? You know what I mean? So
insane.
Anyway, we've had the turnout this time is also incredible. Like, because now we have the consumer side. So we have brands that, like, the B2B side, they don't, like I just said, they don't really care about it. They do their own thing, whatever. They have select doors, but the consumer is all they care about. So where are you going to get to see 5,000 people that smoke weed? You know what I mean? And get to really talk
super
to them.
Fans.
So, if super fans, that's exactly right. That's the term I use, by the way. In the deck it says prosumers, but these are the kids, back to my punk scene, that would buy the vinyl and the t-shirt and the stuff and all, you know what I mean? They're truly the super fans. So, like, if you follow like weed accounts on Instagram, that's who I want at the show. I don't want, like, and even like maybe some big talent will come and, we're working on maybe some things. We're not like, come for the festival, music festival, you know what I mean? And then and like we have,
that's a different audience altogether. You're trying to find the people who get excited about the fact that these brands exist.
Yeah, and there's plenty of those music festivals are incredible. Like Northern Nights is incredible, Reggae in the River is incredible, like Outside Lands is incredible. Bottle Up, we don't need another one of those. They do all that. You know what I mean? We want like the new, cool, important brands. Like, well, again, my partner Aaron does Complex Con, right? So he started that, right? So there's Danny and Aaron and us and Greenstreet and my partner Josh, and Gary V is part of the Greenstreet thing. And and it's like, they're like complete experts in the space. Like, the way we're approaching this is like, it's not, again, it's an experiment. We have not done it before, but there's a lot of stuff to pull from and a lot of successes and failures that all partners together have had, So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm so excited. But the momentum is unbelievable. We're 3 months out, and the brands, we have more brands tracking than ever before by far, more retailers. It's like, they have to come see it, and we're gonna fucking deliver. That's the exciting part.
Absolutely.
Like, we're fucking going for it. You know what I mean? We're like investing a lot into making the day two like a big thing.
And
So
I appreciate the fact that you guys don't just templatize this shit and make it a copy and paste year over year. You're like constantly trying to iterate and do better by the brands, by the buyers, by the consumers now that you're bringing into this space. Like, I don't.
well,
Anyone who's watching this, past, present, or future, if you're watching this on YouTube 2 years from now, go to Hall of Flowers, man. Go to Hall of Flowers.
hell yeah. Yeah. Again, my partner, Danny's they've done it for so long. He's so smart about it, and it's like they, even most trade shows, right? Like you buy a booth and you buy that same booth over and over again. Like you reserve it for the next year. You can't even do that with us. We don't even want that to be the case. We don't want the same brand. We don't want the consumer and the buyer to see the same thing each time. You know what I mean? So even that thing alone, people are like, send me the map. Let me pick my space. Danny's like, you don't get to pick a space.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? I pick the spaces. I take everything in, and then I decide how it works and the flow and the stuff. It's like it's just a different approach. And I don't know this stuff, right? He's like an expert. They've done it for 20 years, So
yeah, incredible, man. I mean, it's and the biggest thing that because I'm somewhat of a similar way, right? Like I am I'll pump ideas out left and right.
Yeah, hell yeah. We should definitely
When
hang
it comes to and you have to sometimes make yourself be the individual to execute. But I think like really when you see something like Hall of Flowers, it is that like amazing marriage of like a mind had to come up with this like crazy psychosphere of like all of what a cannabis consumer can think of or want, or like these different elements of how to express your brand and the space to do it in. And then the execution of finding a way to have all of this work together, like this perfect orchestra, and like have a flow to it and a continuity and like an understanding of like, this is what isn't just going to make this I'm going to walk down this row and have 60 people bark at me to come buy their packaging or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Really, like, Danny and I really came together on the experience overall. His expertise is priceless, and I know the cannabis stuff, obviously, right? So I'm like I bring the cannabis to the party, if you will,
Right.
and yeah, I fucking forget where I was going with that, but I forget. Anyway, I'm sorry.
What are you smoking on? Tell me that. We'll sign off with that. What are you smoking on right now?
This is well, we have a bunch of original stuff, which is awesome. I love them. And then we have
Tasty.
I'm actually, this joint I'm smoking here is from Maven.
Nice.
Maven Genetics,
Shout out Maven Genetics. Yeah.
Training those guys, unbelievable product, and product, right? Unbelievable flower weed, product, just unbelievable product. Yeah, I'm like an indica flower smoker only. I don't dab. I don't do vapes. I can't commit to edibles at all.
I understand.
So I love the beverages, actually, but like I can't do that like real edibles. And but yeah, just joints, just basic joint, kind of thing. So
I'm the same way. Big joint guy.
Yeah, big joint guy.
Well, Rama, man, you are the man, dude. I'm sorry to cut this off. I know.
No, you're good. We were thinking we went twice as long.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm probably gonna call you just so we can chop it up outside of this, though. But
oh, dude, we'd love to.
Been awesome. Yeah, I'll hit you up after this.
I mean, literally, like on my website, it's like it just says like I love hanging, talking about fucking branding stuff. Like, let's jam. Like, honestly, like this is just fun for me. Like I do these whiteboards that, dude, I'm not even joking. Yesterday on my Uber, my Lyft to the Hall Flowers office, I like changed the dude's life because I'm like giving him like a free hour-long marketing consultation about his business while he's driving. Because I'm always like, oh, if they're nice, and I'm like, oh, well, are you driving full time? Yeah. Or no, what else are you working on? And they'll be like, I'm trying to do an agency, or I'm trying to do a thing, or I want to be a photographer. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I have some friends that are photographers, and they're like, oh, really? And I know like I have some friends that are like very famous photographers and super careers, like very successful. And, they'll be like, oh, well, and I'll be like, oh, they this, and and then people will be like, try like, oh, like, thank you so much. And look, and I'm like, whoa, hey, come, like, okay, like, we'll pull over. I can give you some notes, but so I'll be like, you got to watch this video. You got to go write this thing. You got to hit this person up, like, literally. And I just love the stuff. I just want to see people win. I want to see people I want to see people I feel like I'm limitless, kind of, right? And I want to see that in other people. I want people to feel like they are limitless,
Yeah, make them unbounded.
Yeah. And hopefully they don't bankrupt themselves and, become unhoused or something because of it or whatever, you know what I mean? But
Right.
a lot of people just need that one person in their life to be like, you can do it, you know what I mean? Or you got it, I need it in my life. I can't see the forest from the trees. I'm the worst on myself. But when, people were like, people like, oh, like when you go, oh, you're the man. I'm like, oh, hopefully. Okay. Like, good. Like, I want to think so too. But I'm not really sure. You know what I mean?
We're our own biggest critics at the end of the day. I mean, it's very easy
it's
to.
so hard, of course.
But people only see part of the story. You know what I mean? People don't see the things that go on in your head. So people can see people get to see the things that are the fruits of your own criticism. You know what I mean? But not the critic itself.
For sure. It's so hard. So anyway, and it's Mental Health Awareness Month, I think, for
Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
That's a real thing. The ride yesterday was about, actually, it's interesting. It was this guy, I'm not joking. He was was talking. I'm not even joking. And I don't want to get dark and weird at the end of this, but he was like, and this is 30 minutes into the thing. We were really, and he was like, yeah, well, I think about it sometimes, and I'm like, oh, and he's talking about suicide. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this is a real thing, and when I did the music stuff, I had some artists, that were mentally ill, really sick, and now they're healthy, but it was it was a big deal. I mean, arrested, locked up, serious stuff. And, and I have some friends that took their lives, and, I don't even want to mess with this person or say banana or something. And he's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? But he was like, dude, he was like, I think I can get through it now. He was like, I was going to give up for the day. I was going to go home. And he's like, I've been so pumped up over you telling me that I can do it. Cause he's an artist. He's a writer that no one wants to buy his book. And then I was like, you should just do it yourself. He goes, well, I just started doing that actually. I'm not sure. And I was like, fucking no way for anybody, dude.
Dive in, dude.
Put it out. Yep. And then someone that passed on it will hit you in 2 years and be like, it's brilliant. You know what I mean? I never, and dude, you passed on this fucking thing. Dude, Hall Flowers.
Exactly.
I approached a lot of people on Hall Flowers. I approached companies I will not name that are the big companies in the space. I was laughed out of the offices. I was laughed out of the building. People were like,
God bless that you were, man. Thank God.
People were like, yeah, that's right. I told you who it was. We had some people, and again, it was unbelievable. The universe saying you do not actually want to work with this person on this project. But we had people that were like, there's no way people are going to go to a trade show and order weed. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it exists in every industry on the planet. They're not inventing trade shows.
Why wouldn't they?
What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Make it convenient and easy for them. What's happening here? So, but people thought we were, a lot of people don't have vision, so I say it all the time. I feel like I have a lot of that. And that's what I want to contribute to the stuff. Cause there's people that don't have the vision, but they want to execute like a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Danny does both, you know what I mean? Thankfully, that's why the show is so good. But, I have businesses and I've done projects with people that they don't even want to worry about thinking stuff. They just want to be told what to do. You know what I mean? So it's, you just got to find the right people, so.
Yeah, I think you've done
we will actually end now.
Good job at that.
Yeah, 1:30. But dude, down to jam anytime. Where do you live, Nigel? What area?
I live in Louisiana, man. I'm out in Baton Rouge right now.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I know, crazy. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, do whatever
I'll be linking up with you at an event. But I'll also reach out to you after this.
Yeah, Hall Flowers.
Yeah,
and then if you wanna, I'm in an hour north of Los Angeles, essentially, so or west technically.
Cool.
But yeah, if you're ever out here, dude, please let's hang.
I would love that.
Cool.
All right, my man. Have a great one.
Thank you for this.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming to this masterclass on Cannabis Pros and Marketing Masters. Everybody have a great day.
Yeah.